And I am only as young as the minute is full of it, getting pumped up on the little bright things I want. But I know they'll never own me.
The first ever Indigenous woman to be elected into federal parliament. What was that like for you to be sitting there the night before and getting ready to walk in? How were you feeling?
Yeah, I was really nervous, but at the same time, it was like I felt I was meant to sort of be there. It was a bit of a emotional roller coaster as well. I was really, really nervous about my first speech. I had to get that right, I had to nail it.
I say this to all my Indigenous brothers and sisters and to all people. Within every one of us lies the ability to reach deep inside ourselves and draw upon our inherited strength that our ancestors have given us. There lies a spirit that needs to be awakened. Aboriginal Australians are symbolic of triumph over adversity. We represent knowledge and wisdom held in land and country.
Where I sort of, and how I got to become comfortable is, if you know the history of where Capitol Hill, it was a birthing site for Aboriginal women. I sort of felt this is a place where women can do business. So I felt I'm going to own the corridors, you know, I'm meant to be here, you know, and, you know, the fact that Neville Bonner, you know, that dear old man, you know, he was, his first time into Parliament was 1971. That was the year that I was born. So there's a lot of synergies, and that I've always sort of drawn my strength from coincidences of things, serendipity, whatever you call it. However I land myself in certain positions, good or bad, I embrace it for what it is. And so I felt a sense of, yeah, I'm meant to be in this place. I was meant to get that tap on the shoulder by, you know, Julie Gillard.
There's a stereotype that plays out that, you know, Aboriginal kids are great at sport, you know, great at art, but maybe these corridors aren't for these youngsters. And I think flipping that mentality or that power or that strength that you showed in that moment is something that probably the kids on the other side can learn from. But how do you do that? At
that time I thought to myself, here I am, an Aboriginal woman, the first in this federal parliament. I've travelled to 55 countries around this world, wearing the green and gold as an Aboriginal woman, where I empowered and inspired white, black, brindle, Asian, you name it. People have come up to me, Muslim women have said, I've inspired them, I've given them hope. You know, I grew up in Housing Commission. My mum was a stolen generation, my grandparents were stolen generation, and I don't embrace hate. You know, I have every reason to be cranky and mad at the world, but I embrace who I am. I embrace my resilience. I embrace the fact that I'm a descendant of the oldest collective race of people on the planet. I embrace the fact that my grandmother, you know, wore a Hessian bag for her years on a mission, but she had a reason to live. So I owe it to my grandparents. I owe it to my mother, who never had an education. You know, so all these things that people think that they can knock me down and cripple me at my kneecaps, I'm like, you know, move on, next please. It just doesn't. I don't feel the need to get pulled down into their world of negativity. You're not born with hate, you're not born ignorant, you're not born racist. All these things are self-taught, you know, and I think when people use negative language, they put other people down, that validates who they are as human beings, you know, and it takes a bigger person to rise above that. You know, I've been subjected to years and years of, you know, racial hatred and, you know, really, really vile attacks. And I could let that get to me. You know, I dig deep into the resilience of my grandmother, into the resilience of my mother. I call my mother my Uluru. I tell my kids, school, 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 school. It's bloody cool. You can get out there as a proud Aboriginal kid and you can walk those two worlds. You know, you can walk down the chambers of Parliament House and own that place. Our people have so much wisdom, and, you know, there's so much that we have to celebrate. It's, you know, it's good being an Aboriginal person.
What gives you hope now?
The amount of educated kids, the more educated they are, the more opportunities they have to get a good job, the more opportunities they have to sustain our culture. And these are the things that should be celebrated in our lives. These are the things that should be on the front page.
You've offered some pretty amazing insights for the youngsters that are on the other side of the camera, all well earned because you've lived it and definitely walked it. What can they do after today to make one small step towards potentially living a more positive life?
Be kind to yourself. Set small goals. You know, in order to reach that top of the mountain, that big goal, you've got to climb that mountain. If things don't always go your way, just remember, you know, there could be a lesson learnt from it. You may not be able to control other people's opinions of you or how things unfold. The only thing that we can control is how we react to it. One of my little favourite sayings of all time is, you know, nothing is impossible to those who see the invisible. You know, if you believe in something strong enough, you can see it, then go make it happen.